Hey guys, Scott here to talk to you about the small PP build. It's a plague that has been ever present in DBD for a very long time, and I always talk about it on my streams, but I never actually talked about it on a video before. As a side note, I'm a little out of breath because I just recorded this entire video, and this is the second time I'm doing it. My cat fucked up the first one immensely. I don't want to talk about it. So, okay, the small PP build is Decisive Strike and Unbreakable, and I'll go over just how broken this combo is. But first, let's talk about the actual individual perks before they become a combo. So, Decisive Strike is basically designed as an anti-tunneling perk. It wasn't originally like that. It was designed just as a free, just dumb, terrible design perk. But eventually they added the whole requirement of having to be on a hook recently. So it's designed as an anti-tunneling perk, which is good. I think there should be an anti-tunneling perk. The thing is, the killer has to basically rely on one of like three like shady tactics to win the game. Because it's very rare that you can just simply win a game by downing a guy, picking him up, putting on a hook, downing a guy, picking him up, putting on a hook, downing a guy, picking him up. Like, you can't just win the game playing 12 hooks every game. Like, it's not going to happen. So they usually have to rely on, like, tunneling, patrolling, or slugging. And Decisive Strike makes it so you can't tunnel people. Which, it's a mixed bag, because it is, inarguably the smartest thing a killer can do if he has the opportunity, killing someone as quick as possible. It's also kind of shitty, though, so that's why there's a perk to stop it and give survivors a chance to not be immediately removed from the game, because, that's obviously not very fun. But it doesn't change the fact that tunneling is still technically the smartest thing a killer can do, provided he knows there's no defense against it. If he knows there's no borrow time and he knows there's no Decisive Strike, there's pretty much no reason the killer shouldn't just immediately try to kill you again. Other than his own conscience saying, well, this is boring for the survivor, which you can't expect people to have, because that's not even fair. So, having a perk like Decisive Strike that counters tunneling, in my opinion, is fine. I'm okay with that. The problem with DS is that that's not really how the perk is used very often. Maybe because I try my hardest to not tunnel, so I don't see the intended use very often. But pretty much every time I get hit with DS, it has nothing to do with tunneling. For example, this is just one scenario. Like, somebody, like, all right, so I'll be running to a hook, right? I have a guy on my shoulder, and I'm running to put someone on a hook. There'll be a Meg behind me, just her stupid loud-ass breathing, just running behind me, just standing, just... So she's chasing me, which is terrifying, by the way. And then I'll put the guy on the hook. I know she's going to immediately try to farm him off the hook, probably with BT or something like that. So I will put the guy on the hook, do over the save, I'll hit Meg. Then, I'll chase Meg for a little bit. Obviously, she's not going to get very far because I got a free hit on her. So I'll chase Meg instead of tunneling the guy off the hook. This is assuming he has DS, assuming he has borrow time. There are a lot of reasons to not go for the guy that just got off the hook. So I intentionally don't tunnel the guy off the hook. I go for the guy that does the unhook. Okay, so the guy that got unhooked goes and fucks off somewhere across the map. And then I down the Meg, and then I go to pick him up. Or I go to pick up the Meg. And then I put the Meg on a hook, and then I see him barbecuing chili. The guy who fucked off is now across the map repairing a generator. I'm like, okay, I guess that's the only guy I see, so I'm going to go chase this guy now. And then I'll down him within 20, 30 seconds, and then I'll pick him up, and I get hit with DS. I didn't tunnel that guy. It's shifting to your anti-tunneling perk to this guy's just invincible for a minute perk, and that is when it starts getting really annoying. When people use Decisive Strike for a defensive reason to not get tunneled, I am very much in support of the perk. I think it's a great idea. When people use it for an offensive maneuver, I think it becomes really fucking stupid. And for another example rather. So I'll unhook a guy, or I'll unhook a guy as a killer. I will, I'll see a guy get unhooked. And instead of, running to safety, he'll run 5 feet away to a generator and just start repairing it in my face. Just like, what the fuck are you going to do about it, idiot killer? Like, he just repairs a gen right in my face. And now my options are, okay, I could grab him off the gen. He's obviously going to hit me with DS, so I can't do that. I could slug him, but then he's going to bitch at me for tunneling. Like, no matter what I do in that scenario, I'm going to be painted as the villain. And that's really fucking annoying because there's nothing I can do. My options are let you DS me, slug you, or let you just win the game and repair gens in my face. So the people that use DS like that as an invulnerability shield and not an anti-tunneling mechanism, those are the people that make DS extremely annoying. They'll be working on a gen, you'll approach them, they hop in a locker, like just jerking themselves off on the locker. You can't do anything about it. It's just so fucking annoying. And that, I think, is why people hate DS so much. They don't hate it for its intended anti-tunnel purpose. I don't think anyone hates that. If they do, then you're kind of just a shithead killer, in my opinion. It's people hate it for that reason. When people are using it not to stop getting from tunneled, they're just using it to just wave their dick in your face for a minute because they can. That's why the suggestion I had for DS is so simple, and it fixes DS so easily, and it just solidifies it as an anti-tunneling perk. So here's what I suggested before. Very simple. You drop the timer from Decisive Strike to 30 seconds. However, when you're being chased by the killer, the timer never goes down. It could last the entire match if he's still tunneling you the entire match. So, guaranteed it's an anti-tunnel perk. Also, if you touch a generator or unhook somebody or do anything to progress the game, this DS deactivates. Because obviously, if you're repairing a gen, you're not getting tunneled anymore. It's impossible. You can't be repairing a gen and also getting tunneled. So you have to make the choice whether you want to start progressing the game again or you think the killer is trying to come get you. And that's it. DS is fixed. Now it's an anti-tunneling perk. There's literally zero reason to bitch about the perk now. I don't know why they haven't done that. It's very simple. So that's DS. That's why I hate DS. That's why everyone hates DS. Now, Unbreakable is actually probably my least favorite perk in the game. I don't think there's a single perk in Dead by Daylight that has actually caused me to lose more matches than just Unbreakable by itself. If I had to pick a single perk that a survivor could equip to make me lose, Unbreakable has resulted in the most losses. Because as any good killer will tell you, slugging is a near requirement for most killers. You simply do not have enough time to get 12 hooks on everybody unless you're like Spirit or Nurse and you can down people in 10-15 seconds. You just can't have a normal, fair game against decent survivors where you hook 12 times. It's very, very rare. It can happen if the survivors are potato or they're just playing really nice, or, I mean, I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying the majority of your matches, you have to do one of the three things I talked about: tunneling, patrolling, or slugging. You have to do one of those things, or you're just not going to win. So Unbreakable takes the slugging thing out of there. And as a side note, when survivors say, if you don't want to deal with Unbreakable, just don't slug, I have to tell you how much that annoys the shit out of me. Very few things in this game annoy me. It's a fucking video game. But when survivors tell me that if I don't want to deal with Unbreakable, I just shouldn't slug people, and I need them to realize that by telling me that, you're basically telling me, hey, if you don't want to deal with Unbreakable, just lose the game. Just lose all of your map pressure, get 5 hooks, and just lose the game. That's basically what you're telling people if you say they don't like Unbreakable and you tell them to just not slug people. Slugging is a damn near requirement for almost every killer in the game. And when you have a perk that just negates you doing the correct, efficient choice as the killer, it becomes very, very frustrating. So yeah, I can't think of a single perk that has caused me to lose more games. You'll have 3 people on the ground, and you'll be chasing the 4th guy. You're making all the right moves, and then another guy gets up across the map. He gets everyone else up. Suddenly, instead of winning, now you're losing, just because of one perk. And yeah, so I don't think Unbreakable's overpowered. By the way, I need to make that clear. I don't think it's an overpowered or broken perk or anything like that. I'm just saying I personally hate it more than any other perk in the game. Maybe Sprint Burst might be on the same level, just for the sheer smugness of Sprint Burst, where they just sit in your face. But I think Unbreakable is my least favorite perk in Dead by Daylight, other than Old Metal of Man. But that doesn't exist anymore, so it doesn't matter. So now let's talk about the actual combination of DS and Unbreakable, or as I like to call it, the invulnerability bubble, because you are literally invincible after you get off a hook if you have DS Unbreakable. There's nothing the killer can do. Actually, there is something he can do. He can throw the game to spite you, down you on the ground, and just sit on the ground for a minute until your DS wears out as all the gens pop. He technically has an option to throw the game just to kill you on purpose if he hates you. But if he's trying to win and you have DS Unbreakable, there's nothing he can do. He can't slug you. He can't hook you. He has to just leave you and you're just going to get up. That's the only play the killer can make if you have DS Unbreakable. He has to just let you just get away for free for a full minute. You're invincible for a full minute. And by itself, that doesn't sound too terrible. But when you think about it, you can have 4 survivors with this exact same setup, which means you have 4 minutes of invulnerability scattered amongst the team, which is enough time to do every single generator on the map just with 2 perks. You have 2 perks, when divided amongst 4 people, makes you invulnerable long enough to do every gen on the map. Like, that statement should just illustrate how incredibly stupid this combination is. Like, I am so of the opinion that way too many killers whine about the game being way too survivor-sided. I always tell killers, you probably made mistakes you didn't know about. You could always do better. I guarantee you there's mistakes you're making. You're not playing as well as you could. Stop blaming the game. But this shit is like one of the few things in the game where I don't think you can actually beat it unless you're like Nurse or like Spirit or I don't know, like Spiritus and Headhunters. I don't know. Unless you're bringing the absolute strongest shit you can bring, even against a decent team, they don't have to be good. A decent team and a decent map with, if they all have DS Unbreakable, you pretty much can't win because you have to go for basically 12 hooks then, and also stagger those hooks in such a way that the same people are not overlapping their minute of DS. So you basically have to give people more time that they can just spend doing generators. And I think this is one of the few just unbeatable things in the game. 4 good survivors with DS Unbreakable is virtually unwinnable. And that, I think, is why it's the small PP build. It is the build you use when you just want to be invincible for a minute. You want to be invincible for basically like 25% of the entire game. When you think about how quick games go, a full minute of invulnerability among 4 people, the games last like 5, 6, 7 minutes. You're basically talking about 20, 25, 15% of the entire match that a particular survivor is just invincible and they can do whatever the fuck they want that whole time. That is ridiculous. That would be like adding like an entire another generator. It's way too safe, and there's just no downside to doing it. There's no reason every survivor shouldn't run these perks other than just, they want to do what I do and not be a dick to the other side. That's it. That's the only reason that people aren't like running this combo, because they're nice. That's about it. So that is it. That is a small PP build. I hate this shit. If I know someone has this, I will literally go out of my way to throw the game just to kill them because I just fucking hate people feeling that invincible. And yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. So if you see people with these with this perk combo, be sure to shame them. Shame their small PP. Yes, I'm calling for shame. I'm perk shaming right now. I'm actually perk shaming. That being said, it's just the game, but yeah, you have a small deck if you use this. All right, bye.